Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty concerning.
Yeah, it's this link between, flavored e-cigarettes and this condition called popcorn lung.
Popcorn lung or bronchiolitis obliterans, right? We've looked at medical reports, scientific studies.
Mm.
The idea here is to really help you understand the risks based on the evidence we have connecting these flavored vapes to, well, what sounds like a really serious lung issue.
It absolutely is serious. Popcorn lung might sound a bit, I don't know, trivial, but bronchiolitis obliterans involves inflammation and scarring deep in the lungs.
The smallest airways, right? The bronchioles.
Exactly, and that scarring causes permanent blockages. The key word here is permanent. This damage doesn't just go away.
Okay, permanent. So what are the warning signs? What should you be looking out for?
Well, the main things are a dry cough that just won't quit, feeling short of breath, especially when you're active. Maybe some wheezing, feeling really tired.
That sounds like it could be other things too, though.
That's the tricky part. It can look a lot like asthma or COPD. So, diagnosis isn't always straightforward. It often takes a deep dive into medical history, especially exposure history, maybe lung function tests, scans.
Exposure history? Like working in those popcorn factories? Is that where the name came from?
That's exactly it. Workers breathing in those buttery flavoring chemicals specifically, and the impact on life quality is huge. We're talking lifelong management, maybe needing oxygen, possibly even a lung transplant in the worst cases. It really limits what people can do.
Okay, so let's talk chemicals. What are the main culprits here?
The big one is diacetyl. That's the classic buttery flavor one. But also related compounds like 2003 pentanedione and acetone.
And this connection was first made with those factory workers.
Yes. NOSH, that's the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. They did investigations and found the link back then.
But it's not just butter flavor in vapes now, is it? I mean, you see everything.
Oh, absolutely not. These chemicals pop up everywhere. Caramel, coffee, chocolate. Yeah, but also tons of fruit flavors, strawberry, pina colada, and those really sweet ones like cotton candy, cupcake, flavors that definitely appeal to younger people.
Right. Now, you hear that these flavorings are safe to eat. Why is breathing them in so different? This seems critical.
It is critical. See, when you eat something, it goes through your digestive system, gets processed by your liver first. Your liver can break down a lot of stuff.
Okay.
But when you inhale it, it bypasses the liver, it goes straight into your lungs, hitting that sensitive tissue directly. So that GRA status, generally recognized as safe, that applies to eating it, not breathing it.
So GRS doesn't mean safe to inhale.
Not at all. And what's worrying is that 2003 pentanedione, which is often used instead of diacetyl now, animal studies show it causes similar lung problems.
Okay, so how do the e-cigarettes actually deliver these chemicals?
Well, the device heats the e-liquid, turns it into an aerosol, and then you inhale that aerosol.
And these chemicals are definitely in the liquids.
Oh, yes. There was a big Harvard study. They found diacetyl in something like over 75% of the flavored e-cigs and liquids they tested from major brands.
Wow, over 75%.
Yeah, and many had the 2-3 pentanedione and acetone too. Plus, the heating process itself can sometimes create new harmful chemicals, especially if it overheats. And those tiny aerosol particles, they can get really deep into your lungs.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Marketed as safer, but then adding these flavor risks, especially attracting kids.
It is. And the regulation around what exactly is in these flavors, it's often lagging behind. Not much transparency.
So what's the actual scientific evidence? What did the studies show about lung damage?
Well, animal studies are pretty clear. Exposing animals to butter flavorings or diacetyl directly causes damage to the cells lining their airways. Some studies even showed lung lesions in rats that looked a lot like this bronchiolitis obliterans.
And in humans.
There's modeling suggesting humans might actually get more diacetyl deposited deep in the airways than rodents do. And that Harvard study, again, it showed these chemicals can damage cilia function.
Cilia, those little hairs that clean your lungs.
Exactly. Your lungs' defense mechanism damage them, and you're more vulnerable. We've also seen, unfortunately, human case reports. There was a Canadian teenager with severe bronchiolitis after vaping. Other reports showing airway scarring and long-term vapors.
Is this the same as EVALI, that outbreak a few years ago?
No, that's generally thought to be different. EVALI was often linked to vitamin E acetate, mostly in THC vapes, though some nicotine-only cases were seen too. The damage here from the flavoring seems to be more about inflammation, that's scarring fibrosis narrowing the small airways.
How do the chemicals actually cause that damage?
Diacetyl and 2-bromol-3-pentanedione are what we call reactive compounds. They can directly damage cells, increase oxidative stress, basically mess up normal lung function. Proving direct cause and effect in human population studies is tough, with all the different products and how people vape.
Right, lots of variables.
But the biological plausibility is strong. The animal data is there, the case reports fit, and we know these chemicals are harmful to inhale from the workplace data. There are safety limits for workers, limits that e-cig users aren't protected by.
So if someone develops popcorn lung from vaping, what's the outlook? You said it's permanent.
Yeah, the scarring itself is considered irreversible. Treatment is really about managing the symptoms, trying to reduce inflammation with corticosteroids, maybe using inhalers like bronchodilators to help with breathing, sometimes needing oxygen therapy if levels get too low.
And lung transplant as a last resort.
In very severe cases, yes. The most crucial thing, though, is stopping the exposure immediately. But yeah, it can severely impact quality of life. Physical activity becomes hard. There's the burden of ongoing treatment.
What are the big public health groups saying? And are regulators doing anything?
Well, groups like the American Lung Association, the CDC, they've definitely put out warnings about diacetyl in e-cigarettes. They stress that safe to eat does not mean safe to inhale.
Highlighting those workplace standards again.
Exactly. Because those standards exist for a reason, inhalation is hazardous. It really raises the question of why consumer products wouldn't face similar scrutiny, doesn't it? Regulation is evolving, but it's patchy. Some places, like the UK, have banned diacetyl and regulated vapes. But in other places, like the US with the FDA, it's been a slower process.
So wrapping this up, what's the bottom line for our listeners?
The bottom line is that flavored e-cigarettes, especially the ones with diacetyl and similar chemicals, carry serious, potentially permanent lung risks. Prevention is really key here, particularly keeping them away from kids and teens, and anyone who doesn't already smoke or vape.
So don't start.
Definitely don't start. If you do use flavored vapes, think seriously about stopping or at least switching away from those flavors, and be really aware of any persistent cough or breathing issues. See a doctor if you are. We really need more independent research, stricter rules on these chemicals and flavors, and just better public awareness.
Okay, a really important takeaway, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. We regulate these chemicals in workplaces to protect people from inhaling them. So what does it imply when we allow them to be inhaled, perhaps frequently and deeply, through a consumer product often marketed as fun or safe? What other questions should we be asking about product safety and, frankly, regulation? That's our deep dive for today.